everybody, once again to the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. Bienvenidos. Thank you guys for joining me once again. That intro that you guys heard, like always, like every time I put out a podcast, it is from Los Anaya. That's Losanaya. Make sure you guys listen to their music. From my understanding, they're going to drop music every month. One song every first of the month. From here on out, para los pinches golferos, para que tengan para comprar la música. So, again, big shout out to you. Thank you again to, like I said, each and every one of you guys for listening to the podcast. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Short on fights, but I think there was a lot of questions on Instagram, so I'm going to try to answer each and every one of them. But first things first, let's take a look at what happened this weekend. First, from what was it, Barclay on Fox. Kanaki beat Arreola on a card. He beat Arreola on the cards. But did we actually see the last of Arreola? Look, this card was tailor-made for Kanaki. Obviously, Arreola is way past his prime. And a fighter that I thought, had little or no legs under him. But look, man, I think they broke... They broke CompuBox records when it came to punches thrown. They threw a shitload of punches to be heavyweights. It was a fun fight, not much of a meaningful fight, but it goes back to just saying, my original saying, which is be a fan of fights, not fighters. This is those type of fights that it was just going to be a fun fight. Two chubby guys going at it, and one looking to make a future for himself, and one and the other is still trying to keep himself relevant. Now, Arreola did say that if he didn't win this fight, he would retire. I think it was more of if he got knocked out, he would retire. I think he saw in himself, yes, he didn't get the decision, but the fact of the matter is that he was still able to throw. I think he'll still make interesting fights versus the lower tier of the heavyweight division. You got guys like El Gallo Negro that I think he'll still make a great fight with him. There's still a couple of other PBC heavyweights that'll be fun. I know I always wanted to see him versus Andy Ruiz, but that's before Andy actually got to fight for the heavyweight division as a multi-division champ now. But hey, you never know in the future. But hey, he fights to fight another day. I don't think he retires. I just don't want to see a guy like Arreola be somebody's punching bag. As long as they keep putting him in like-minded fights, then I'm all for it. I think in that same card, we actually saw John Pascal beat Brown in a technical decision, which is kind of interesting. Pascal drops Brown in the fourth, and again, I think twice in the seventh. The fight ended up getting stopped because of a cut. Again, two old school. This old school fighters somehow continuing to make a name for themselves. Jean Pascal, of course, we know him from his better days. Again, he fought Hopkins twice, if I'm not mistaken. He just fought, again, better opposition as he was coming up. And I mean, if he fought on HBO, that tells you, years ago on HBO, that tells you all you need to know. But look, man, good for him. He was able to pull off the upset. Again, he was there to get beaten. He was there to be used as an opponent. But I think if anything has served us this year is to not count anyone out. I think most fighters before you would say, you know what, his legs are gone, and that's it. Once a fighter's legs are gone, his legs are gone. That means his reflexes are not going to be there. But I don't know if it's modern medicine or what is it, but these fighters continue to fight the good fight, and they continue to kind of reinvent themselves. So, again, kudos to Jean Pascal. Got the weird technical decision. Well-deserved. I get it. It was on a cut and whatnot, but it was well-deserved. And hopefully Brown gets that rematch, just like Brown gave Pascal the opportunity. Hopefully we get to see that sooner than later, unlike the Andy Ruiz fight that for some reason we still don't know when the rematch is going to take place. Other than that, what do we get? The Conlan Revolution still exists. It's still going on. It still continues. Conlan got the stoppage. Again, and that's all that matters. Look, I think the fighter's name was Ruiz, the one he fought. Doesn't matter. Conlan continues to go into this developmental path that I think is great for him. Look, the guy's an ex-Olympian. good solid fighter, but I think his biggest issue has been the transition from going from amateur into a pro. The amateur and the Olympic pedigree hasn't really kicked in yet, or at least not as of the last 2-3 fights. Now it looks like he's going to the body a little more, sort of like when Manny Robles had him. He's looking a little sharper. Overall, good fighter. I personally can't wait to see more of him. I like him. That body work to the Argentinian kid paid dividends, and at the end, I mean, he just wasn't able to take it, so was able to get the stoppage. And again, Michael Conley got the stoppage, so that was extremely impressive. As far as the fights, I mean, I believe that was it. But let's talk about this weekend, because I think this weekend is pretty interesting. There's one card in particular that, I don't like to go over each and every card, but, there's one card in particular that I'm really interested in, and that's the fight from Grand Prairie, Texas, of course, on the Zone. That's Golden Boy's card. And in the main event, we have Virgil Ortiz Jr., who fights a tough Antonio Orozco. Now, it's very intriguing in many, many ways. Look, man, not Ortiz, I'm sorry, but Orozco is not a pushover. We know the guy comes to fight where he lacks maybe certain special abilities like all fighters, because I think he's a very well-rounded fighter, very compact fighter for 140 pounds, and that's why he's now moving to 147. Well, both are, him and Virgil. But he's always been able to be in fun fights. I mean, he was able to go to war with Ramirez that just fought, what was it, last week, and gave a great account of himself in a fight that, in my opinion, was a fight of the year. I think, what was it, last year, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah, it was last year. Not so much because, it was in a way one-sided by Ramirez, but Orozco was in that fight. Now, Ramirez being the Olympian, being the more established fighter, being the champion at the time, again, Orozco gave him good, run for his money. It was a tough enough fighter. So my only issue with this is it the right time for a talent like Virgil Ortiz to get a guy like Orozco? Again, not saying that Virgil isn't ready, but what I'm saying is that based on the past performances, especially within the Golden Boy stable, is it a good idea to go through your talent that way? Especially when there's so many other issues, that are popping up, left and right. And of course, I saw some of you guys' questions, so we'll get to them, that Golden Boy debacle in a sense in a minute. But again, he's no push. Something in Virgil. I think Espinosa, which is Orozco's management, saw that they think, okay, you know what? Let's get the Virgil Ortiz fight. Is he extremely green? Again, I don't know. Based on information from his camp, they say Virgil's Virgil's the man. Virgil's the man in that camp. He's the guy. He's the, even if Ramirez is there, Virgil Ortiz is the man at 140, 147, because that's where he campaigned, and that's where essentially these guys, that's the main guy, that's the man, that's their welterweight at Robert Gym. So I don't know. It seems like he's a special kid, but sparring again is always one thing, and the fight is in another. We don't know how good Virgil Ortiz's chin is. Can he take it in the chin? I mean, he hasn't been able to get touched in the chin. At least he hasn't faced any. He hasn't had an oh shit moment, like, oh shit, he got clipped in the chin. How did he react? We don't know. We haven't seen it. And that's what I'm saying is us, like, in the general public. Again, maybe Robert Garcia and this whole training camp knows, that he has the capabilities of it. I as an outsider, as a fan, don't know. So this is why it's very intriguing, and this is one of the reasons why I think boxing fans should be glued to their TV this week because you just don't know. Like I said, Golden Boy. Look, the same thing happened to Diego De La Hoya a couple of weeks back. He fought Ronnie Rios, which a guy that even I had said, you know what, Diego's gonna go in there and run over him. The kid has no legs. He's gonna be able to dance around him and eventually maybe stop him in the late rounds. That's not what happened. They won a war. I think Ronnie got to Diego, hurt his ego, but again, no excuses. He got him, he beat him, and the better man won that fight. But what I'm saying is that these type of things where you think it's a sure thing, you think you're boxing, you think you know what's gonna happen, but at the end of the day you get a curveball, and boxing happens. Like we always say, it's the theater of the unexpected. So you never know. I'm very intrigued with this Virgil Orozco fight. I think it's gonna be a great fight, but at the same time, I don't know. It's a fight that I just want to sit back and watch. I don't want to say, oh, you know what, Virgil Ortiz, is the more polished guy. He's the guy that has the name trainer. He's the guy that's doing this. He's the guy that's gonna run him over. I think he should. Is he gonna do it? I don't know. I think this is where sometimes I believe measuring sticks are a little rougher than they should be, because look, a loss could hurt a kid. I think the kid's 13 fights in. So it's tough. Again, especially when you don't know how tough his whiskers are. What we know he can give, but what about if he can receive? And we know Orozco can dish it too. So we will see. But this card as a whole in Texas, I think it's a great homecoming for the kids, because we got, of course, Joshua Franco and Tanahara fighting. So again, this is good. This is doing your research, taking your kids back home, making them sell tickets. Putting asses in seats. I know it's very comfortable for promoters to just sit back now with all this money for maps, but this is a really good thing. But again, let's go back to this Joshua Franco fight. Joshua Franco fights Oscar Negrete for seems like it's the 6-7 time already. Look, we saw him fight once. I think where did they fight? In Orange County, where I believe it was a draw. It was their first fight. The second fight, I think Joshua won, and in my opinion, rightfully so. A lot of people thought he did, and I think Joshua won both of the fights. But now they get to do it again. Why is this fight happening? I don't understand. I get it. The fight was close, but we don't usually, especially when they're into the same stable, we don't continue to get the same fights over and over and over. On the contrary, you let the kids breathe. You let them somehow, even if they're at the top of their possible game, you somehow let them, develop or try to, develop themselves a little more, by fighting different oppositions. Then maybe bring them back and let them fight each other once again. But, the fights almost seem like they're back to back to back. Are we wearing these kids out or I mean, what's the deal? I don't understand. Maybe it's an issue with the weight, because I know these guys are very small guys, so there's not a lot of small guys there's always guys you could bring up, but not guys that you could bring down. But personally, I think Josh has the more upside in this, especially taking him to Texas. And kid can sell tickets. I don't understand how many opportunities the guy like Negrete gonna get. I know here locally, I don't. He's a out of towner, so he's not gonna sell tickets. He can't crack an egg to save his life. So I really don't get the fight again. I like it because look, it's a good fight, but as far as building Joshua, I don't get it. I think it's enough is enough. Again, if there's no other opposition, great. I think Nettie was even being questioned for Joshua at some point, but again, don't know what happened. But again, I really hope Joshua puts his foot on the gas, makes a statement, gets rid of Negrete once and forever, and he's able to, develop himself into maybe fighting for a real belt, none of those NABA, GBOs, or again, whatever you call them. But hopefully, it gets finally gets done because look, Golden Boy is good at skinning the fat, but at this point, looks with Negrete, it looks like the fat's already burned. So time to move forward and continue to build that roster, even if it's tiny, but continue to build it and personally, I think it's without Negrete. Let them fight for Red Boxing or whatever these local promoters are. The other guy that's actually fighting on that fight, it is Hector Tanajara. Hector Tanajara Jr. was actually the guy. He was the stud of the bunch that came from Texas. He was a good-looking kid, tall, dark and handsome, como dicen. But I think it's time to show a good account of himself. It's time for him to do a little soul searching and show that he belongs. Show that I'm not sure if it was a signing bonus or whatever it was, but show that he was worth it because I think he's a very talented kid. He's one of those kids. I remember at one point, Robert Garcia Jr. had gone live at one point when he had just got here and he was sparring and when I had seen video of the kid, I saw that he had a beautiful jab. And I asked him, you know what? Can you do a round? Don't throw another punch. Just show me that jab. And he was able to dictate a whole round. And I forgot who he was sparring, but he was a solid guy. But he didn't throw a different punch. He didn't throw a right hand. He didn't throw a hook. He just threw a jab. And he was able to keep his opponent off with just a simple jab. The kid has a beautiful jab. And I think, but there's other punches that he needs to follow through with. But I think he's one of those guys that could beat you with a jab. I think he's but he needs to develop something else. I think he stayed pretty evenly. How could I explain it? He's been doing almost the same thing ever since the amateurs. He's got a great jab, beautiful jab, but there's nothing else. There's some polishing to do. I'm not sure what it is. Again, I'm not the expert, but he definitely needs to do something else. As far as the fight, as far as the rest of the fights, I believe that is it. I do want to go and see what is it that you guys had asked, because again, I wanted to make sure I left enough time in the podcast to answer each and every one of you guys' questions. So we're gonna go with it right now. The first guy that actually asked, this was about 4 hours ago, was Fabian Gonzalez. He said, yeah, I would like to know. Yeah, like he said, the question was, like Ryan Garcia not wanting to fight Romero Duno, and instead wants to fight the guy that gave Duno problems. No mames, shaking my fucking damn head. To answer Fabian's question, or I guess for a little background on Fabian's question, there was rumors that were going around that Ryan Garcia was supposed to fight Romero Duno. From my understanding, and at least from the rumors that happen online, again, I don't know. Seems like Ryan Garcia said, nah, I don't want that fight. And again, I'm assuming here, because the fight obviously hasn't been signed, and I think he went on his rant on Twitter as well. But he didn't want the fight. Supposedly, he doesn't want the fight because it's not enough time to promote the fights in September. Personally, I don't understand the type of fighter that Ryan Garcia is. Yes, he's a social media phenom. He's an amazing kid in social media, but he's not a great fighter yet. He hasn't been developed yet. You want to ask for these big paydays. You want the attention. You want to be the champ. How many more Braulios do you need to fight to be to have that, at this time, that $100,000 payday, that $200,000 payday, or do you just want to scream out and demand these ridiculous paydays? Yes, you can sell out an arena, but who the fuck are you fighting, kid? Look, I think we all want to root for you. We all want to see you do good. But not when you act like a piece of shit and you're declining fights but are quick to clout chase, calling yourself a Mexican fighter. It just doesn't work that way, and that was my issue with that. To answer your question, yeah, I think he pussed out. I think a guy like Ryan Garcia beats a guy like Romero Duno, not a problem, But does he believe he could fight it or he could beat a guy like Duno? I don't think he believes in himself as much as to want to fight or beat or have the abilities to fight a guy like that. What he wants, it's the classic Pocho thing, which is he wants to make the big money with as little risk as possible. In my opinion, all these other people that are around him finally got to his ear. When he was around Floyd or visiting, watching the Gervonta fight or watching the Manny Pacquiao fight, there's been people in his ear. There's people whispering. There's people saying, you know what? This is what you're making at Golden Boy. You can make this and plus much more fighting tomato cans over here. Why don't you move or ask for them to give you more money? Personally, if I was Golden Boy, I would wash my hands now, get rid of him, let whatever promoter buy out his contract because the kid is no good. The kid can't fight. We've all heard the stories of him quitting and sparring. We've all heard the stories of all of a sudden having to go to the bathroom when it comes to training because he doesn't want to get hurt when it comes to sparring. So why bother with a kid like that? And I feel at fault for hyping the kid up myself because when I first saw that kid, I was like, oh, this kid is fast, a good looking kid. I think there could be some marketing behind him and somehow polish him into being a good fighter if he was willing to learn. So obviously he wants to do his shit his way. He doesn't want to do shit right way. So it's time for him to go. And Golden Boy losing a guy like that, it's not the end of the world for Golden Boy. Golden Boy has been around for a while, so they'll be just fine. Beto says, nah, okay. Let's see. In my 81 Baby Blue, I like that name. I don't know what it's about, but what 81 does he have? Maybe he has born in 81. He has blue balls. I have no idea. It says, what the hell is going on with Team Canelo? I don't know. You could only assume. And this has, in my opinion, it has a lot to do with what the first question is. I think Ryan Garcia is a cancer. I think his whole family is a cancer. Again, at least from what you hear, it's a give me this, give me that, and when they don't do anything for anything for the fighter, that they just take. I think the relationship that Canelo and Golden Boy had has somehow been poisoned by the Garcias, and by the Garcias, I mean everyone. Whether it comes with the parents, whether the father, the other little brother that holds a spit bucket, Sugar Rush, whatever it is. But I think they go in there and they talk shit about Golden Boy and they do this and they don't do this and they don't do that for them. So somehow has spoiled the relationship with them. So I think they are a big part of the reason why Golden Boy is having issues with Canelo, if they're even having issues with Canelo, because really I think this shit might be a show. It's just all this because I think I know what you're talking about as well, because I saw that Canelo kind of said he didn't know what deal that, and I'm of course paraphrasing, what deal that the matchmaker had, the matchmaker being Robert Diaz. I'm guessing he's the only matchmaker with the IBF, but that he somehow lost his belt by mistake or whatnot. Did the IBF make the right choice? We'll get on. Let me answer a couple of other questions before I answer that. Lalo Boxing, the hottest page in boxing, according to him, on Instagram, says, why does Guru dislike the next superstar of boxing, King Green? I don't dislike the kid. I actually like him. I like him a lot. I think he has all the physical abilities to be great. But based on his showing, I don't think he lacks the brain to do so. I've always thought, again, Ryan was a hell of an athlete. I still think he's a hell of an athlete. But I think, his team is a whole clout chaser. Look, they got rid of their own manager. Again, I have no opinion on that. But they hired some guy that's used to milking, every type of entity that he possibly can. So I don't hate them. I just think that what they're doing and asking for is complete and utter shit. That's all. Let's see. Let's see who else. Let's see who else has a question. Actually, in Espanol, and it's Sonteo Media. He actually has RGBA logo, so he might. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's part of Robert Garcia or just one of his fans. He says, ¿cómo la ves con el Joshua Franco contra Oscar Negrete 3? ¿No les tienen otros contrincantes al Josh? En las 118 libras, Robert estaba listo para meter a Josh con Neri, pero Golden Boy se quieren esperar. Si batalló Neri para hacer el peso a la última pelea, pero al fin bajó 5.5 libras. Gracias, Sao, y saludos. What Sonteo is pretty much saying is that why he's asking. Let me see if I can kind of paraphrase this. How do you see Josh Franco and Oscar Negrete at 3? Don't they have any other opponents for them? And he's like, Golden Boy is ready to sign him versus Nettie, but somehow they pulled off a bit. Nettie has trouble making weight. I don't think he'll be able to make weight again in the future. And it says shout out to Sal, whatnot. Salutations, I guess you could say. So, yeah, that goes back to my original explanation. Is that I think it's very difficult to get small opponents or to even flying opponents because look, these lower divisions are solid, but they're solid in Asia. Where there's a lot of smaller guys. Here in the U.S., not so much, and I think that's the big issue. I think they have two solid guys in Negrete and Franco, and I think that's why they continue to fight them, and they will continue to fight them. So that's that. There's more on this on the same thing. I think Boxing Bros, and shout out to Boxing Bros. Big fan of their Instagram page. It says if the Ryan versus Duno were to happen, who would win and how? Again, this is an interesting fight. And I think Ryan could be outboxing this kid and playing it safe from the outside, but it only takes one punch from Duno to put his lights out, and based on the way the uppity, I always call it the uppity way, that Ryan, carries his chin up in the air. I mean, that chin is just there to get punched. And I think, I forgot the kid's name that fought him like 2-3 fights ago, but he was able to exploit that, just going with a double, triple jab and coming with a right hand, and he's there to get hit. It's not like Ryan has angles. He just, pushes his chin straight up. Same question from another question from Boxing Bros, and Boxing Bros says, Jose Ramirez versus Progress. Look, man, the rigmarole is tough, and Ramirez has always been easy to doubt, especially as a matter of fact on his last fight. Ramirez, it was a 50-50 fight. Ramirez obviously got, I think, what was it, the 7th round where he stopped his opponent. But he's just a different type of animal. It's not like he's extra fast, he's extra strong. But what he is, he'll fucking outwork you. He'll work the shit out of you. You'll make it happen, and that's that. As far as a Rigorou or Prograis, solid fighter, very awkward. His punch placement is extremely. He's extremely talented. I don't think he hits. I do think he hits harder than Maurice Hooker, which was Ramirez's last opponent. And just the way he's able to box and move in the ring, it makes it very complicated. But if we see the same type of Ramirez get up for like he did for Maurice Hooker, I think Rigorou is in for a shocker. I've always thought that Prograis would beat Ramirez, but after the last performance from Ramirez, man, that guy looks like he had rabies, man. He was just all over Maurice. Let's see who else. Some guy named Joshua said, how long before Oscar is back in rehab? Look, man, I don't. I've always been a guy with no filter. I'll read these questions. I don't care. What impressed me about Oscar and Golden Boy and overall is that when it felt like Canelo went on social media and attacked what he mentioned was the matchmaker, in this case Robert Diaz, it got like sort of like when you and your family and your brother and your sister, you guys are always fighting. I'd say that's what usually happens in a household. But as the fucking neighbor comes and talks shit, you're gonna back your sister, your brother, you whatever. You're gonna back them up, and you're gonna go to war for that person. And I think that's what Golden Boy did for Robert Diaz. Not only did Oscar De La Hoya, put his full support behind Robert Diaz, but so did Eric, the president of Golden Boy. So they're a family. They've been there for many years. They've obviously been able to work for 10 plus, 17 plus years. I can't really recall, but they've been able to somehow work together for so many years. Yes, they got Canelo. Canelo is the primary source in boxing income that Golden Boy has, but it doesn't mean you can't build another one. You got talent that's coming up. You got talent that you could buy. I mean, Golden was making a ton of money every time Canelo fights, so I'm sure they're very well off as far as that goes. So I don't think it's a big deal. They've obviously been able to maneuver and build pay-per-view stars or superstars in boxing. Towards the tail end of Floyd's career, he was part of Golden Boy. Whether Floyd liked to admit it or not, at the end of the day, he had his check signed by Golden Boy. They were able to promote many, many good fights, many of Canelo's fights. So the ability to do these things is there. Canelo didn't come from Mexico as a bona fide star. Canelo's a bona fide star in the United States. There's a reason why he's in the U.S. He's been able to do that type of money. Well, him being in the U.S. So can Golden Boy do it again? Absolutely. They just got to find the right guy, and they can find a guy that already. It's not like it's not like they found Canelo. They built him from the ground up. You can buy a fighter. You're fine. That's why I don't think Canelo or excuse me. I don't think Golden Boy. I don't think it's that much of a big deal as other people are making it. So. And again, the same question from Cubano LX. And I know this guy for many, many years in boxing. He hated the WBC just as strong as I did, so shout out to him. He says, again, sort of the same question. Is this the end of Golden Boy Promotions? Is Canelo and Ryan going free agent? Is De La Hoya filing for bankruptcy? No, and no. There's no need for any of that, man. I think, again, I think as boxing fans, we live in a novella world, and we expect things to be blown out of proportion. That's not the way it works. It'll be fine if let's say Canelo does leave. One, he can because he signed a mega deal with DAZN, and I think DAZN, part of it was DAZN being with Golden Boy as well. So that's that. So I don't see them, leaving each other anytime soon. As far as Ryan que chingue su madre. Honestly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense for him to be there anyways. I think he's a little swag fighter, so swag fighters belong at PBC. So I think the quicker they get rid of a Ryan, the quicker they get rid of the embarrassment that's going to happen, because Ryan will get caught. Eventually, Ryan will get caught. Once he fights a fighter with a pulse, he will get caught, and he will get hurt, and, that'll be the end of that. But guys, I think that was it for as far. Well, actually, let me check. Yeah, estuvo. I think. As a matter of fact, I think Lucas had a question. She actually asked about the IBF decision. She asked, "What do you think about the IBF decision to yank Canelo's belt?" So, what do you think about Canelo's tweet about not knowing what it was? What do you think about Oscar's response? What do you think about GEG facing Deverenchenko in October? I have my own opinion about the IBF's belt saga. Thanks. Look, the IBF, just to take it back a little, the IBF, I don't think did anything wrong as far as their protocols goes. I think they did everything that's being part of the rule. What I think that they messed up was by not bending the rules a little bit. Not because of Canelo, but because you got to let negotiations take place. We're talking about millions of dollars. If we're off, if they're offering a guy $5.5 million and the guy wants $7 million, I mean, you have to negotiate. That's a lot of money to give away, and not give away because obviously every fighter deserves it. They're decent purse. But the fact of the matter is that it's still a lot of money to go through. So you have to negotiate. Those things take time. And I think they kind of jumped the gun for other reasons that the IBF has been, I think from my understanding, they were under investigation for bribe or something like that. At least that's what I heard. Don't quote me on it, but that's what I heard from before. So now they have to be extra strict on what they do. I get it, but I think an additional extension would have been great. That way a deal could get finalized. That way Canelo wouldn't be tweeting the type of shit that he tweeted. But as far as Canelo's tweets, personally, I think they were done to save face. Like the I don't know what it was. I don't know that was roofies. I don't know that was steroids. I don't know. He played the innocent victim, and I think that. And I for some reason, I don't know, some strange, odd reason, I think Golden Boy was okay with them getting blamed for it. It was okay. Because, as long as Canelo doesn't look like the asshole, I think it works great. Because I don't think it's in the promoter's best interest to have your fighter look like an asshole, like he didn't give a fuck about no belts or anything like that. On the contrary, I think personally, it was an okay thing to tweet. And I think Golden Boy almost was in on it, okay? Just that way, Canelo looks like the innocent victim. All right, guys, with that said, I am out of here. Thank you guys so much for listening. Remember, Spotify, Spreaker, YouTube, iTunes, I'm all there. Just look for the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. Again, thank you so much. Have a good one, and nos vemos.
Los demás de la acordada de aquellos se sorprendieron. Si quieren pueden matarme, que yo ya vengué a mis viejos. Dicen que lo fusilaron, otros que se fue